This is today's title for discussion. Earlier, we have discussed the main pathways concerned with central dogma of life, that is translation, transcription. Now, this is replication. Replication we are starting today. Replication is an important aspect of central dogma of life involved in the inheritance of genetic information. Replication is the process by which genetic information is transferred to the daughter cells during cell division. An error in replication leads to mutation. We have looked on the central dogma of life, that is the flow of biological information. When DNA replicates, the genetic material in the chromosome is duplicated and divided into daughter cells, and there is no alteration in the content of DNA of chromosomes. When this DNA undergoes the transcription process, it gives rise to a molecule RNA, which is carrying the same sequence of nucleotides as that of DNA, with the exception of thymine. In place of thymine, it will have uracil. DNA is transcripted to RNA, then RNA is translated into sequence of nucleotides in sequence of amino acids in protein. This way, this central dogma of life goes on. Following, now we will go to replication. Following are the principles of replication, that is copying of the sequence of nucleotide is accurate. Replication is a semi-conservative process. Supercoil and DNA topoisomerase, which are formed during the replication, they are taken care. The supercoils are formed, and topoisomerase will take care to remove those coils. Replication fork, it is formed during the replication process when the DNA is open, unwound, and it shows a fork like structure, which is generally called as replication forks. Replication is simultaneous and bidirectional. Both the strands of DNA, which are running anti-parallel, which are complementary to each other, they are give rise to new strands. This new strand formation or daughter strand formation is simultaneous and bidirectional. One moves from back to front, another moves from front to back. That we will see that both have got the same direction, 5 prime to 3 prime direction. DNA synthesis is catalyzed by a set of enzymes called as DNA polymerases. Here is the figure which gives us an idea about what we mean by semi-conservative or conservative division. When a chromosome is divided, duplicated during cell division, there are three possibilities. That the first chromosome gives rise to two chromosomes, each will have, one will have the parent's composition, parent's chromosome, and new chromosomes will be there in the other chromosome. Ultimately, in the second generation, we will find that the three chromosomes have got new strands, newly synthesized strand, and one will have parental strands. In the second case, it is the new strand is present in two chromosomes, and two chromosomes will have both new strands. This is semi-conservative. Semi-conservative means the daughter chromosomes will carry one strand from the parent and one newly synthesized. So such type of combination, one from the parent, one from the newly synthesized, is called as semi-conservative. Whereas in conservative, one will carry both the strands from parent. Out of the two daughters, one will carry both the strands from the parent, and another will carry both the strands newly synthesized. The third sample is there is no definite pattern. It is dispersive model. It will have a strand will have few nucleotides of parent and few nucleotides from one parent and few nucleotides from another parent, vice versa for the other strands. This is dispersive strand. Our is concern is semi-conservative model. In duplication of DNA, we get semi-conservative model of duplication. This semi-conservative means that after replication, each router DNA molecule will contain one old strand, that is one parent strand is conserved. One new strand, this is a synthesized from free nucleotides present in the nucleus. Now have a look, then we get idea about what we mean by continuously synthesized and simultaneous synthesis. The both these strands of DNA, they are complementary to each other and they are antiparallel. These antiparallel strands are replicated simultaneously. It leading strand, one is leading strand which is synthesized continuously. The top one is leading strand which is synthesized continuously, whereas you see the bottom one is lagging strand which is synthesized in fragments. But one thing is common in both: the direction of synthesis is from 5' to 3' side only. So this is Kornberg who invented this RNA polymerase action. The replication of DNA by RNA polymerase, it was given by Kornberg, who has given that synthesis of new DNA molecule is simultaneous, conservative, and it is synthesized from the deoxynucleotide triphosphates. So deoxy ATP, deoxy CTP, deoxy CTP, deoxy TTP are the substrate for polymerase. And one unique thing is synthesis takes place with the formation of a ribonucleotide primer. The first polynucleotide form is a ribonucleotide. Then that is continued as a deoxyribonucleotide. The enzymes which are involved in DNA replication are in prokaryotes or in bacteria. There are three species of DNA polymerases, that is DNA polymerase 1, DNA polymerase 2, DNA polymerase 3. In eukaryotes, example human cells, there are 5 species of DNA polymerases. They are called as alpha, polymerase beta, polymerase gamma, polymerase delta, and polymerase epsilon. Their function will be Their function will be explained during this lecture. DNA polymerase in prokaryotes. DNA polymerase 1 catalyzes DNA replication and repair, whereas DNA polymerase 2 catalyzes proofreading and repair, and DNA polymerase 3 catalyzes mostly replication of DNA. Now we will take up the headings of replication. First is origin of replication. In prokaryotes, example E. coli, DNA replication begins at a single spatial site called as the origin of replication, or ORI-C. ORI-C consists of unique sequence of bases that is recognized by the enzyme system responsible for initiation of replication. In the eukaryotes, replication begins at a multiple sites along the DNA helix. This provides a rapid replication mechanism for the very long eukaryotic DNA molecule. So the diagram shows that the double helix of the DNA has got a point called as ORI. This ORI is the start point of replication. You can see it is a replication on the both the side. The replication fork is formed on both the side of ORI. From there is a unwinding of DNA takes place. Unwinding of DNA gives rise to the fork, replication fork. You will find replication fork on the left side as well as on the right side. Replication fork, as the two strands unwind and separate, they form the V-shaped replication fork where active synthesis occurs, and this region is called as replication fork. The replication fork moves along with the DNA molecule as synthesis occurs. Replication of double-stranded DNA is bidirectional, that is, moves in both the direction from 5' to 3' direction. Here, different models of mechanism of DNA synthesis is given. Replication fork, what we have just discussed, that at the point of origin, when there is unwinding, the fork is formed. Such forks you will find in human being or bacteria. Now, the other model is strand displacement primer, and so strand separation, unwinding of the parental DNA during replication. The double-stranded DNA molecule duplex is separated into two strands, and each is used as a template for the synthesis of a new complementary strand. DNA synthesis involves strand separation, formation of RNA primer, synthesis of new DNA strand, excision of RNA primer, and their replacement with DNA. Strand separation, that is unwinding of the double helix DNA, parental DNA. This is done by an enzyme called as helicase. The helix destabilizing protein and single stranded binding protein, helix unwinding proteins, DNA helicase, and topoisomerase enzyme 1, that is fuelase, and second gyrase. Single stranded binding protein, they bind non-enzymatically to the single-stranded DNA without interfering with the abilities of the single-strand nucleotide to serve as a template. They keep the two strands of DNA separated in the area of replication. They protect the DNA molecule for nucleus from the nucleus enzyme. Here we have that fork that is formed when the unwinding takes place. We find that the new strand, each strand becomes a template for a synthesis of a new strand. But one goes, one strand after the formation of a primer, RNA primer, continues without any gap. That is called as DNA. Uh, that strand is called as leading strand, and the other one is called as, which is with the gap, which goes in the same direction, 5' to 3' direction, eh, with the formation of some Okazaki fragments. So this is how the replication fork is formed. The enzyme DNA helicase, which goes on opening the double helix, it continues its journey starting from the origin point, and it runs in the 5' 3' direction and opens the double helix, giving rise to a fork-like structure. The enzyme DNA polymerase then follows it, and it starts synthesizing a new nucleotide that is complementary to the nucleotide of the parent. So we have DNA polymerase acting for synthesis of a lagging strand, and the other nucleotide is leading strand. So this picture gives that idea. There are proteins called as SSB proteins. These SSB proteins, they catch hold of the newly formed single strand. They will cover up the newly strand, taking care that they are not interfering with the function of that strand as template, and they will not permit the rejoining of these two strands. They will keep them separated. That is the function of single strand binding proteins. These single stranded proteins are formed by the action of the enzyme helicase. Sometimes that helicase is referred as unwinding proteins, helix unwinding protein. It binds to the single stranded DNA near the application fork. It forces the separation of the two strands. Two ATP molecules are consumed to separate each base pair. So that is the function of helicase, DNA helicase. DNA protein. Parental DNA is unwound in unwound state. It is shown here. So that will have a old parental strand, which is shown here, running from 3' to 5', and a new one which is running from 5' to the antiparallel. So this helicase will go on synthesizing a complementary strand which continuously. This continuously formed complementary strand is called as leading strand, whereas the other newly formed strand is called as lagging strand. Helicase required for the opening of the double helix. After the action of helicase, action of polymerase will give rise to leading strand and lagging strand. This is this site where this reaction takes place, that is opening of the double helix, giving rise to a fork like shape in both the side of आपसे क्या बोला तुमने? This is a detailed diagram of a fork that is called as a fork formed due to the action of helicase. Then I would like to mention the action of those topoisomerases. One is called as shoelace and another is called as gyrase. When there is an opening of the double helix, when the hydrogen bonds are broken and double helix is converted into single strand, then there creates a tension and a twist occurs in the double helical DNA. This twist gives a type of uh, tense force. This tension to be removed. For this, these two enzymes they act. See, that is 2' one that will do it by cutting one strand of the DNA and releasing the force of tension due to the unwinding. And the other is gyrase or topoisomerase second, which will cut both the strand of the DNA and relax the DNA molecule from the tension of uh, that tension formed due to the twisting of the strands. So in it binds to a single stranded DNA, that is first enzyme, and the lagging strand near the replication fork and then more into the neighboring double stranded region. This force then separation of the two strands by disrupting the hydrogen bonds. This prevents super twisting of DNA molecule, which makes further separation more difficult. Rotation of the entire chromosome that consumes lot of energy. These things are showed by these two gyrase and topoisomerase. Formation of RNA primer. Polymerase third is meant for synthesis of the polynucleotide of DNA. Its first action is it will help in formation of a ribonucleic polynucleotide, a small ribonucleic polynucleotide, which it is unable, polymerase third is unable, it cannot assemble the first few nucleotides of a new strand by using the parent DNA strands as a template. Hence, this assembly requires RNA primer. Enzymes required RNA polymerase are plus helicase. It is short fragment of RNA synthesized under control of primosome, which is a complex of RNA polymerase enzyme and helicase protein. It is complementary and anti-parallel to the DNA template. It has three hydroxyl groups at 3' end. It is having free hydroxyl group at the 3' end, which serves as acceptor of the first nucleotide from DNA polymerase third. Then follows the synthesis of new DNA strand. After the formation of the primer, the substrate for DNA synthesis, that is deoxy ATP, deoxy GTP, deoxy TTP, and deoxy CTP, are utilized for the synthesis of a new DNA strand. As the DNA polymerase third moves along with the template strand, different nucleotides are added. Nucleotides are added as per the pairing rule in adenine, that is Adenine is paired with thymine and guanine is paired with cytosine. So this is again gives an idea about that complementary pairing of nucleotides under the action of DNA polymerase. The chain growth occurs only in the 5' to 3' direction. The leading strand is synthesized almost continuous. The lagging strand is synthesized discontinuously by forming small fragments called Okazaki fragments. The lagging strand is synthesized discontinuously by forming small fragments called as Okazaki fragments. After these fragments are formed, they join to become a single continuous strand. Excision of RNA primers and their replacement with DNA. So in the beginning, the RNA primer was first formed. To that was continued as deoxynucleotide strand. DNA polymerase third continues to synthesize DNA until it is blocked by a fragment of the RNA primer. When this occurs, the RNA primer are excised by DNA polymerase 1. Gaps resulting from the excision of RNA primers are filled up by DNA fragments by DNA polymerase 1. The remaining nicks spaces are then sealed by DNA ligase. So this way this much part we can take under that heading initiation of replication. Now next we are going to elongation of replication. A protein called as replication factor binds to the primer. Replication factor acts as a clamp leader to the another protein proliferating cell nuclear antigen. Proliferating cell nuclear antigen forms a circular clamp around the DNA. At this stage, DNA polymerase delta binds to the shedding clamp and starts in elongating the new uninterrupted on the leading strand till it touches terminal signals. However, replication on the lagging strand is only discontinuous since it is synthesized in Okazaki fragments formed as a result of filling by DNA synthesized by DNA polymerase. The small nick that remains finally sealed by DNA ligase. After that, the next next stage is termination. The termination of replication in eukaryotic cells involves special structures called telomer at the ends of the linear chromosomes. Unlike the replication in the bacterial genomes, the replication in eukaryotes which have linear chromosomes causes problems. The ends of linear chromosomes are not replicated by DNA polymerase. This is then especially beyond the end of linear DNA molecule which not which no template is available for the pairing of RNA primer on the lagging strand. Naturally, DNA replication comes to an end here. This poses a new problem after several cycles of the length of linear DNA molecule shortens in the daughter chromosomes. Over a period of time, this leads to loss of certain genetic information which could prove fatal. The diagram shows a question that 5 prime end problem. What is that 5 prime end problem? That the primer is synthesized at the 5 prime end, then DNA polymerase will continue by adding to that deoxynucleotides and taking it to the next primer. So like that primers are formed in the discontinuous strand. There it will be interrupted by RNA primer at places. These primers are then removed with the enzymatically removed, and that gap formed by removal of the primer is again filled up by another DNA polymerase. But this process is not totally complete. All the primers are removed except the primer which is present at the 5 prime end of the daughter nucleus. The primer at the 5 prime end is removed, but it is not replaced. So that gap continues. In that circle you will see that 5 prime end has got a small gap. This gap will be the difference between the length of the parent strand and the daughter strand. And this will, as the number of cycle goes on, that gap, the distance or the length of that goes on increasing. And this result into, if we do not check this problem, then that result into a fatal problem. That is, many genetic material is lost at the 5 prime end, and that will result into malfunctioning of the genetic machinery. So that is the question with the scientists to overcome the problem due to the 5 prime end gap. That is done by naturally it is done by addition of telomeres. Telomeres are added in that gap, and the telomeres will be removed, but the telomeres do not have any genetic function, and that's why this remains unanswered question. At the end, I am giving the summary of the enzymes which we have discussed during this DNA synthesis. That is, look at that left side. I have got DNA polymerase 1, DNA polymerase 2, DNA polymerase 3, and primase. I told you that helicase. These are the total number of enzymes. DNA polymerase